Not many 11-year-olds look forward to spending a sunny Saturday afternoon touring a timeshare property with their parents. But I wasn't your normal tween, and I had a very specific reason for accompanying my parents on their path toward fractional real estate ownership: a Sony Walkman. Weeks earlier, a letter had arrived inviting my parents to a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In exchange for giving up a few hours on a weekend, they would be granted their choice of several prizes, including that Walkman. It was 1982, and I was convinced I needed one. I grew up in a very strict household where secular music was forbidden. If we didn't sing it at church, it was pretty much off limits in the Norris home. However, after a summer spent hanging out with the cool kids across the street, I'd managed to develop a taste for the forbidden tunes of 80s artists like Lionel Richie and Chicago. You know, real edgy stuff. As soon as my parents got that letter, I knew the Walkman was my ticket to getting a fix. That meant I was willing to put up with a lot, including spending the better part of a Saturday with a very determined salesman who regaled my parents with tales of how our ownership week at a modest beachfront property along Florida's southeast coast could be traded for glorious vacations in Hawaii and Europe. Even at that age, the proposition seemed dicey to me. But I digress. With my Walkman finally secured, I would stay up late under the covers on Sunday nights listening to Casey Kasem's Top 40 Countdown, safely out of earshot from Mom. I always felt a chill of excitement when Kasem said, "Coming to you from Hollywood," at the top of each segment. My family lived in Pembroke Pines, just down the street from Hollywood, Florida, and I couldn't believe Mr. Kasem was doing such important work just miles from my home. Years later, Kasem was one of my judges at the Miss USA pageant. I resisted the urge to share this middle school confessional with him. The Walkman was just part of the sneaky behavior I employed to live peaceably under the same roof as my mom, a woman who once bought a plaque with the words "meanest mom in the world" and proudly hung it in the kitchen. She meant it. In my mother's household, hit shows like The Love Boat and Three's Company were not appropriate for nice little girls. So was the prospect of staying up past 8 p.m., and don't even think about talking back. There was no escaping from Mom's rule, especially because she worked as a teacher and always taught at the school I attended. Looking back on the experience, I can see how it kept me out of a lot of trouble, a fact for which I'm now eternally grateful. But at the time, it was a soul-crushing arrangement for someone who already had to fight hard to fit in. Grade school is fraught enough with potential humiliation when your mom's not correcting you in front of your classmates or handing out detentions to your friends like Halloween candy. In fourth grade, one fateful interaction left me with no choice but to run away from home with my friend Michelle. Mom had been passing through the gymnasium just after my class finished recess. The school's rules required us to wear dresses every day, long pants for the boys. So I don't remember there being much physical exertion on the playground. But on this particular day, my mom spotted my messy hair from across the room and came over to whip it back into shape. I was mortified. I remember protesting that I would look like a baby if my mom started fixing my ponytail in front of my friends, but she was undeterred. "Stand up straight," she said, fussing over my unruly tresses while my peers stared and snickered. That was the final straw. Later that day, as Michelle and I discussed our parents' overbearing behavior, we decided to fight back. We both had bikes, and there was a park not far from our school. We figured we could squirrel away some snacks, write goodbye notes, and disappear to the park for just a single day. Maybe that would scare our parents enough to respect our maturity and ability to make our own decisions.